joining in here. Welcome again to this webinar. I'm sure the next 30 to 40 minutes will be very interesting for you, where we can walk you through how to bring in the right analytics capabilities within your organization and strengthen customer engagement. Just by way of introductions, I am Vishnu Arunachalam. I'm a senior director with Searce, responsible for building our business in the UK and Ireland region. I'll be presenting today with Shane. Shane, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Vishnu. Hi, everyone. My name's Shane. I'm the Alliances and Partnerships Manager for Fivetran, so I work quite closely with the Searce team, helping people migrate their data using a modern data stack.
Perfect. Thanks, Shane. All right, so we'll dive straight in. So for today's agenda, we have a few slides just to introduce everyone towards the marketing analytics landscape, right, with some industry data and what's going on with just marketing in itself. And then we'll talk about some of the common challenges in accessing this data. And then what are the right technologies that can help in collecting and processing this marketing data, right? Once you have this understanding of this landscape, and then we'll basically jump into a comprehensive approach towards marketing analytics in itself. And then I'll hand it over to Shane, who can walk through a modern data stack and how it can basically help generate the marketing insights, which can make a difference towards your organization. Okay, so to get started, right, I mean, like, it is evident that in recent times and for always, I would say, the customer has been the center of any marketing journey for any brand or any organization for that matter. And there is data that is coming through from several sources today, both digitally as well as in the physical stores, to allow for making that customer journey wonderful, right? And it's quite evident. I mean, like, I was reading through a Forrester report, which was published about 3 or 4 years ago, which basically said that the customer experience is becoming the center for any marketing analytics, or even the only focus for any marketing related journeys that these brands are proposing. And that's more than 80% of the brands basically saying that. And that number is only going up, right, with the COVID situation, where both digital experiences and physical experiences are kind of mixing up together, and customers are looking for that seamless interaction, right, and the seamless journey as they jump seamlessly between physical stores as well as digital landscapes as well. And the needs from a marketing perspective have very much remained the same, right? So let's take, for example, our favorite customer over here. What do brands and what do organizations really like to know about them, right? The first thing is they want to understand the customer, right? How much will she spend in the future, right? The first common question that we want to look at, right? And then look at that information to predict, okay, is she likely to purchase another product from us or not? And start looking at, okay, are there similar types of other customers that we can acquire, right, based upon the types of products that she's purchasing, right? And then how can we retain this customer for the long term, and how can we grow this customer by doing some recommendations and products in itself, right? This is the common pattern that marketing has been taking into account over the course of time, right? Now, with the proliferation of data within the organizations, there is an interesting way through which we can provide these customer experiences. Now, let's take, for example, let's say, call her Kelly, right? And Kelly is basically interested in a purchase that she has to make, right? So she just got notice that her friend is getting married, and she happens to be near a mall, and she's just looking for a nice gown that she could wear for the wedding in itself, right? So she pops into this retail store. She starts browsing through all the gowns that they have. She finds something that's her favorite, a blue color gown, and then she talks with the representative there. She really likes the one. She gets to know that that's something that's new, launched in the season. And so she goes ahead and makes the purchase. So she was so very happy with the experience that she happens to even sign up for their loyalty program and share more information about her in terms of, okay, she really likes the blue color. She doesn't really like white. And Her spending pattern is more in the summer and less in the winter. So an additional information that she provides that gets into their loyalty program as well. This is all great, and with the good experience, Kelly walks home, right? Now, our marketing team comes into play, right? And what she sees in her inbox, right, after a couple of months is uh, an email basically telling her that, hey, there is a pair of white shoes that is available to you, which goes well with your blue gown that you purchased. Now, Kelly obviously was not too happy about it because she has very much said that white is not her favorite color. And we're getting a marketing email saying that, okay, there is a white shoe that is available. On top of it, she gets a next email, which basically says, oh, this blue gown is on sale for 25% off right now, right? Now, Kelly just did not quite expect that. It's only been like a couple of months and she's already getting a 25% off on that gown, and she could not go back and get that 25% off, right? So when you look at this kind of a journey that is going on, the retention of the customer is also problematic. Whatever was attempted towards growth has kind of backfired with this experience. Now, if you dig deeper into it, is it really something wrong that the brand or organization is doing, right? And if you look at it, it's not necessarily anything wrong that's been done in itself, right? So the marketing team basically looked at the data of all the different purchases that were done within their billing database and found out that frequently bought items together basically say that when someone buys a blue gown, they typically get a white pair of shoes that go along with it. So the team was basically able to generate an email marketing campaign based upon that product recommendation and send the email over to Kelly. The one factor that they did not account for is that in the loyalty program, when Kelly registered that information, she said white is not her favorite color, right? And if you look at the second scenario, right, we basically looked at all the industry data and the blue gown was a favorite among a lot of the people. So there was a broad marketing email that went over for a particular demography with a 25% off information, which did not account for the billing information where Kelly has actually bought that gown already, right? So in each of these cases, the real problem here is data silos, right? In the data silos where you're launching campaigns and you're basically interacting with your customers with silos of data, provides not only broken experiences, but it also backfires where you're not able to retain your customers and providing fragmented experiences to them. So how can we fix this, right? So the first thing to do is to get into a customer-centric data warehouse, right? Where all the information that is available to you about this particular customer, either physical or digital footprints or third-party data, if you can collect all of them into a single data warehouse from which you can understand insights and have customer data and campaigns running from there, and also running your predictions based upon this data that you have as well, right? Where you're not having any gaps in your data, and that will give accurate predictions. And then when you launch into customer experiences, it provides a delightful experience to the customer. And that's exactly what everyone is expecting from each of these brands. So the customer-centric data warehouse is key, but it is also a challenge, right? It's not easy to bring all of this data together and have it all trained together to provide the insights that you really need in the organization. And this is really where Google steps in and brings in the Cloud for Marketing product to you, where there are pre-built connectors available for a variety of different ads sources, right? From Google Ads to Analytics 360, Ad Manager, YouTube ads, even the commercial data sets. All of this information can be brought into a single customer-centric data warehouse, which is Cloud for Marketing, where transformation and analysis of that data can be done. And you could basically use either your custom models or pre-trained models from Google to analyze that data and come into your predictions in itself. This data can then be used to activate your different email campaigns or other ads platforms. And it can also be used for visualization of data as well, whether it's through Data Studio, Tableau, or Looker. So this end-to-end solution really makes a lot of difference in providing that streamlined experience for your customers. So in short, right, it is pretty easy in Google Cloud to basically bring all of this data related to your content marketing, your CRM systems, your loyalty programs, and so on and so forth into a single customer-centric data warehouse powered through the Google Cloud for Marketing solution and provide that a seamless journey to your customer. Now, quite often, I mean, like when you have all of this data coming through, what are some of the use cases that you want to get started with, right? So that's a question that comes up quite often. To answer that and make life simpler, Google has come up with about, say, 7 or 8 different use cases, which are easy and almost pre-made, right, for you to understand and start using it, right? So first is around understanding the customer journey, like trend spotting, right, which is basically looking at the pattern of how the customers are behaving, what products they're purchasing, and then visualizing that data in a dashboard to see if there are any trends that are going on, right? Which is, oh, in this season, this particular product has been bought a lot more. Which is basically served through self-service analytics and again through customer segmentation as well. It can also be done for predictive marketing outcomes, which is the second group, where we want to understand the lifetime value for the customer in itself, which is basically a function of understanding how much are they likely to spend and how much time can we retain them and what is their propensity of buying again with this brand as well, right? And then the third portion is personalizing the customer experience. So this becomes pretty key, right? Monitoring the sentiment from feeds like Twitter, data-driven segmentations, and a personalization engine, right? So all of this is clubbed together as different use cases for you to get started with pretty quickly. There is also a way and a process to basically get started as well, right? And it is a proven simple process in terms of collecting and transforming the data in itself that comes through site analytics, analyzing the data through lifetime value prediction models that as is provided for this particular use case, visualizing that data and activating them, right? And across all of these different processes, there are modules that have been created for each of these different use cases, so someone can basically get started with them very quickly. Behind all of this is the power of BigQuery, right? BigQuery is the serverless data warehousing engine, which is kind of available globally as well to anybody who's interested in using just a simple data warehouse or for marketing analytics purposes as well, actually. And this powerful engine, which has been in existence for quite some time internally within Google and now available for everyone else to use, is making a difference and powers the customer analytics for all the customers in itself. One of the big differentiations with the BigQuery is its ability to run machine learning on top of it right away, right? So when we looked at some of those predetermined prediction models or using the custom models, this is where the power of BigQuery comes in, right? So you can run machine learning on top of the data warehouse in itself to get prediction data very quickly. It doesn't have to be another data science experiment and another layer to basically get those predictive information, which makes it really powerful with BigQuery. So looking at end-to-end in terms of the architecture in itself, right? And this is for a single use case that we're looking at how all of them could come together, right? So data from ads, ad manager, DV360, GA360, all of them could literally come into BigQuery storage, right? And there are connectors that are available natively within Google Cloud to help with this information. And then using a combination of data fusion and data prep, right? You can bring this data into BigQuery in itself, which acts as the ETL engine. And once that data comes into BigQuery, now you're free to run ML directly on top of BigQuery or use a Cloud Data Lab and ML engine for other advanced machine learning models that you want to run, or directly go into TensorFlow as well. And once that information is all churned through and comes back into BigQuery, now you can visualize that information using either Data Studio or Looker, or even start launching some of your email campaigns through SendGrid. So it kind of provides that end-to-end solution, right, as you start looking into the different campaigns that you want to launch within your system. So let's come back to Kelly again, right? And this time, let's just start looking at the different touch points that really happen, right, before she really buys a product in itself, right? And there are quite a few that we're seeing, right? She could get emails in her inbox, and she's basically clicking those emails, and from that, we're getting information around the products that she's interested in. Same with YouTube ads that she's watching and responding to. That's getting some information around it. Google searches that are performed outside of the Google ecosystem, products that she's purchased, which goes into the Salesforce ecosystem, or external SaaS solutions, ads that are surfaced to Facebook. Right, all of these provide different interaction points for the customer in itself. Right, to provide inputs around what they're searching for, what they want to do. And what we have seen is, on an average, there is at least 5 or 6 different touch points, right, that a customer makes, in a lot of cases even more, before they could make a decision towards buying a particular product in itself. So say, for example, right, this is an example of Kelly's kind of a purchase, not a purchase pattern, like kind of her follow-through loop before she purchases a particular product, right? She goes ahead, visits a product website, and that's triggered through Google search engine. And because of that, there is a first-party cookie that is installed, and that is used as a way for an ad to be launched either directly into her mobile phone or through Facebook, right? And this basically allows her to click on one of those ads that is done through the product app platform, where she visits a different website altogether. And from that point on, they were able to convert that into a sale in itself. And that information goes back into Salesforce. So you can see that the data that Kelly is doing for all of these different interactions lives within the Google ecosystem, but also lives outside the Google ecosystem as well, right? In terms of ads provided from Facebook, data collected in Salesforce, so on and so forth, right? So if you look at my previous picture, right, most of the story revolved around collection of data from these pre-built data sources within the Google Cloud ecosystem, which is Google Ads, Ad Manager, so on and so forth, and using that data to basically train and transform your models and come up with the predictions. But this is only going to be part of the story, right? What's missing is this third-party data, right? You as a brand could be collecting a lot of information about the customer in itself through their loyalty programs or through the purchases in itself. And then external social platforms like Facebook, right, are providing valuable information around ads that can be surfaced and what customers are doing with those ads and stuff like those as well. So to get an end-to-end solution right, it is important to not only do the analysis from Google-based data sets, but it is also important to bring in all the other third-party data sets, including your physical store information that you have, to provide that end-to-end customer experience, especially during these times. And I think this is basically where Fivetran really shines, right? Where there is integration that is available to bring this entire story together and fill in that gap where we're missing out on third-party data. And with that, I'll hand it over to Shane, so you can continue on and walk us through this modern data stack in itself. Shane.
All right, thanks, Vishnu. Thanks for
I'll stop sharing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me know when you can see my screen now as well, and I'll continue on.
Sure. Now it's coming up. Perfect. Looking good, Shane.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Vishnu. And as Vishnu said towards the end of his presentation there, how do you get those other data sources into your BigQuery instance so that you can continue to so that you can build out these insights from all the data sources that you have? And that's where the full modern data stack kind of comes into play. And I'm going to explain a little bit about how Fivetran is going to help solve that problem for you. So this is kind of an overview of what the modern data stack looks like. So on the left-hand side, you've got all your different data sources, whether those are cloud applications like your CRM systems, your financial data, whatever that might be. databases, events, files, any type of data source that you have that you're looking to bring into your Google BigQuery to get a better understanding of what your customer looks like and get a real understanding of that customer 360. So Fivetran is going to help be that data pipeline that pulls that data into Google BigQuery for you. We'll land that data into that staging layer where then, and from there, you can start doing those transformations to intertwine that data, to better understand how it relates to each other, get that full understanding of your customer, and then push that into some kind of business intelligence tool. So whether that's something like Looker, Tableau, Data Studio, whatever tool it is that you're currently using to get those insights out, and then use that to drive your data-driven decisions. So on the left-hand side here, we're looking at how things kind of used to be, where you've got your on-premise applications, you've got an on-premise data warehouse, and from there you're building very rigid reports for a very small audience, typically your executives or your C-levels of some kind, just because it's historically been very hard to get this kind of data-driven insight out of the data that you have. But with new technologies such as Fivetran, such as BigQuery, we're moving more to this new world on the right-hand side, where you have hundreds of data sources potentially, and you're able to move that data into an infinitely elastic enterprise data warehouse such as BigQuery. So where you would go there is you would use Fivetran, for example, to bring all that data into BigQuery, and then from there, you can do whatever you want with that data. So there's many different use cases that you can have, and you can have a much broader audience within your company of people that have access to that data and are able to make these types of decisions as well, based on that data that you're collecting from a number of these different sources. So the problem is really, how do I centralize this data so I can start relating it to each other and get these insights? And that's where Fivetran is really going to help you. So pulling it in from these operational systems into that modern data warehouse like BigQuery, and then from there we can do whatever it is we want, whether it is that internal analytics use case, whether it's creating data products, data sharing feeds, or whether it is just establishing that customer 360 that Vishnu was talking about earlier. So a common problem when you're trying to get access to this data with this kind of older approach of extract, transform, and load is that what you're going to do is you're going to identify those sources that you're looking to get the data from. From there, you're going to scope out exactly what data from those sources you want to bring into your data warehouse. You'll define what that schema looks like. You'll then go ahead and build that ETL pipeline. You'll get those insights, and then inevitably one of two things is going to happen. Either the schema is going to change in the source destination that's going to disrupt that pipeline that you've built, or you're going to get a new data request from the team to say, oh, hey, that's a great dashboard. Can we add this to it? Can we add another data source? Can we add something to that? Which whenever you create a really good dashboard, that is inevitably going to happen. And what happens then is you have to go back and start that process again and rebuild that ETL pipeline. So what Fivetran does is it's a fully managed data pipeline as a service. So there is no maintenance or configuration. There's no coding. We have over 175 native connectors to those common data sources that you'd be looking to extract data from. We'll land predefined schemas so that you can start working straight away from them. And you can get these set up in as little as 5 minutes. So it is really quick and easy to set up and very user-friendly. A couple of key differentiators of Fivetran is our automatic normalization behavior. So what we actually do, obviously, if you're loading data from let's say a transactional database or any kind of database that already has a normalized schema, we're just going to replicate that for you one-to-one into your BigQuery instance. So you'll have that data available to start transforming that. What we also do, though, is we'll normalize any denormalized data. So if we're connecting to a cloud application, let's say connecting to Xero or Zendesk or one of those data sources that we're connecting via an API, it's not going to come back in a normalized way. Fivetran works with those vendors to create a structured ERD that we will land in BigQuery for you. Again, saving you that time and effort of doing that yourself and making it easier for you to start getting on with those transformations and getting insight out of that data. We'll also handle any schema migration. So one of the problems that I alluded to earlier was when the source changes, say it adds a new column, removes a column, changes a data type, etc. That would historically have meant that you have to go back and rebuild that data pipeline. Fivetran automatically handles that schema drift. So anything that changes in the source, we will update that in the pipeline and move that data across to the destination for you. So you will always have the latest data from your source in the destination. This is a list of some of our pre-built connectors. I don't want to sit here and go through all of them, but I just wanted to show a quick screenshot of some of the most commonly used ones. You can see there is a link, fivetran.com/connectors, if there's something specific that you're looking for to help bring in data at the moment. But this is a sample of everything that Fivetran has to offer. So some of you might be thinking, all right, this is all great. I would love to get this kind of customer 360 view going. How would I even go about getting this started if I wanted to? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. If you're starting completely fresh, this isn't something that you've looked at before, what you can do is you can go to fivetran.com/signup and start a free trial of Fivetran. Within that free trial of Fivetran, you can actually set up a Fivetran managed BigQuery instance as well. So we will actually provision that BigQuery instance so that you can start landing that data into BigQuery as well. If you're already using BigQuery, you already have a BigQuery instance, you can look into the BigQuery data transfer service or in the GCP marketplace where you can also find Fivetran and link that to your Fivetran instance directly. Start bringing in some of those data sources. You will, and part of the offer that we're offering today as well is a free 2-week trial. So when you sign up for that, you will have a free 2-week trial with a full free historical sync as well. So you'll get all of that data into your Google BigQuery instance, and you can start manipulating that and working with that as you want. If you're still not sure about how to do this, please reach out directly to the Searce team. Fivetran partners heavily with Searce and the GCP team, and Searce has done many of these projects and will be definitely able to help you in taking this to the next step for your industry. I think there's a couple of questions in there, but we'll do some dedicated Q&A towards the end here as well. So with that, I'm going to jump into a very quick demonstration just to kind of show you a little bit of the Fivetran interface, what that looks like, and how easy it is to set up a Fivetran connector. We'll do a Salesforce connector today. What you're looking at here is the Fivetran interface. So the first thing that you're going to do when you get into Fivetran is you're going to set up a destination. So if you set this up through your BigQuery instance, through the data transfer service, through the marketplace, your BigQuery warehouse will get provisioned and set up autonomously. But if that's not the case, you can come in here. It's not an arduous process to set up your BigQuery warehouse. We'll have a quick look at that. You can see here, you obviously need to have a little bit of information here to set this up. But there is a full setup guide on the right-hand side for each and every one of our connectors and destinations as well. But this is the information that you need to have. Once you have your destination set up, now we can go in and start setting up connectors. So in this environment, you can see I've got 18 connectors set up. So from Pinterest to NetSuite, SQLs, Google Cloud Storage, there's a number of different connectors set up already. So let's go ahead and add a Salesforce today. So let me just find this. I'll connect to my Salesforce sandbox today, but it works exactly the same way if you're connecting directly to your main Salesforce instance. So here, all we're going to need to do is give our destination schema a name. So this is the schema that's going to land in BigQuery, and this will be how it is named in BigQuery. So if I just do a quick naming of that, then I'm going to hit authorize, and we use Okta internally, so this is actually going to go away and sign me in automatically. If you didn't use Okta, then that clicking authorize there would just take you to your standard username, password for Salesforce. Once that's done, I'm going to hit save and test, and this is actually just going through and making sure that I have the right permissions within my Salesforce instance to access the APIs and pull that data out of that source destination. And this is just going to run quickly. All those checks have passed. So I obviously, I have the access to the API in Salesforce. And now I'm going to go in and view the connector. And from here on out, every single one of our connectors is exactly the same. So there's 2 more steps to have your connector completely set up and ready to move data into BigQuery. The first step is to select the data from that source that you want. So I've connected to my Salesforce instance. It's gone in and pulled all of the data, all of the schema out of that. So I can have a look here and select which tables, which columns. If I expand the account table here, I can see all the columns within that. So I can choose, I don't want to have certain columns, or, I can turn off complete tables if I want to. I can also hash this data as well. So if I have any PII data that I wanted to land hashed in the destination, I can do that as well. So let's say I wanted to hash these legal names. Once I have that data set up, so I've got all that selected in the data that I want to bring into BigQuery, I'll hit save and continue. And then I'll go to the setup here. And the last piece of this puzzle is choosing the sync frequency. So I can have that sync in every 5 minutes, so pulling data from Salesforce every 5 minutes, right up to 24 hours or anywhere in between. So I'm going to leave that at 6 hours for now. I'll go back here and I'll kick off the initial sync. And this is already moving data into BigQuery for me. And it's as simple as that. And that's really, we can go into other connectors and things like that, but that is the bones of Fivetran. It's as simple as that to set up those data connectors. For those of you that aren't familiar, that is a process that can take weeks to months usually to build this from scratch yourself and to code all of this yourself. Let me come back to the presentation here. And we've got one more slide, and Vishnu, you might want to join me on this one as well. But, so Searce have a bit of an offer as well today around helping you get something like this set up. Vishnu, do you want to chime in on that a little bit as well?
Definitely. Yeah, so we have a complimentary BigQuery to Fivetran assessment that is available for anyone who is attending this webinar. So feel free to reach out to us. And it can be broad, right? So what we have is a BigQuery migration pilot in itself, which is the part of it, right? It could be coming through from any of your data warehouses, whether it's in Postgres, Oracle, Amazon, Redshift, or if it is something that you want to build out from the scratch. I think with what you've learned today, Fivetran, in combination with the BigQuery and with our consulting help, we can definitely put together a powerful solution for you in quick time and use that as a way to basically market that within your organization and build upon that quick win.
All right,
great.
And with that, we'll wrap things up. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining today, and do reach out with any other questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Shane. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.